meeting.
Pete,
Do we have?
Pete, can I interrupt you for a second, please?
Sure.
Yeah, it's an announcement that, you do something for 25, 30 years, sooner or later, you make every mistake you possibly could make. I think I finally made a new one after all these years. I make a habit of doing the minutes for every meeting within 2 days of the meetings, and then putting it in the file and putting the file away until the next meeting. I took out our file for this particular meeting, for our meeting of the 19th, in anticipation of emailing the information to everybody, and there's nothing there. And I thought, well, I must have made a mistake. And then I go to my notes, and you can see I make copious notes on the agenda for every meeting. I have no notes. I don't know what happened to them. All I can tell you is that maybe we can resurrect some minutes for the September meeting, but I apologize, we don't have them.
They got on video on Facebook.
No, well, yeah, I don't know. It would be video. Maybe I can look at that, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, then we'll.
Yes.
So there will be no minutes today. That's what I'm trying to say. A long way around, and I wish I would have thought of that. Could have done it already, but
No worries. Happens to the best of us.
all right. Thank
Believe
you all
me,
for your forbearance. Yes.
John, what you've been putting up with the hurricane cleanup and losing your wife and so forth, the minutes, don't worry about it.
Well, thank
Don't
you.
worry.
That
No.
meeting happened long before anything. So,
Yeah.
thank you, Pete. Thank you.
No.
All right.
Okay. Do we have confirmation of proper notice?
Notice was posted on the 31st of October, and we have a full arrangement of committee members with Pete and Tiffany on Zoom, and Chris, George, Sue, and Alan here.
Okay.
And Deb
Uh,
Harder looks like she's on Zoom too, huh?
Actually, it's not Deb Harder.
Oh,
Tiffany.
yeah.
No, it's that age. Tiffany changed. She changed her name to Deb.
It's another relationship.
Maybe she's calling from Deb Harder's phone.
Yeah. Well, I'm just guessing that. Yeah.
Okay.
But why her picture would be attached to Deb Harder's phone, I don't know.
Well, it's not. It's funny how it's doing it.
Looks like it's different.
It's what it is. There's Tiffany and then there's Deb A.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the outer box around it.
Well, I see there's two boxes up there. Yeah. All right.
Okay. Chairman's comments. Probably I'll wait until after we talk about different things, but it's just I think that I'm talking to John all the time. The crew is doing a great job on the massive cleanup from the hurricane, and we realize that people are still need to get some stuff done, but we're trying to get on top of it. I think they've done a good job so far.
Can I have can I dovetail on top of that, Chris, Peter? For those of you who are here, continuing working on the debris removal, everything has been cleared and removed from behind the 800s Oak, the 700s Oak View. Still working at almost finished, except for a couple big trees behind the lakeside. They're working in behind the area between Lakeside and a Palm Tree now, where they hauled out more work than more large things than I thought we could get a hold of. We're working our way north, and Brown's Tree Service will be back the day after Thanksgiving to start working on the trees behind Pinehurst. That's been very problematical because we've got a major oak down behind 126, and of course the granddaddy of all banyans behind 170s. They estimate 3 days alone to take that one out.
Wow.
John,
Are they going to be able to prop that one up, John?
Yes, they're going to try. It's as big as a building, but yes, they're going to try.
Yeah, I went and looked at it. You're right. It is the granddaddy.
Yeah, it's a shame we lost that.
on Oakview, we still have a pile.
There's going to be piles continuing.
Okay, second thing is, and the main reason I'm here is we still have some deadfalls at the top of the trees.
Yeah.
Over in the corner, and those are the ones I'm concerned about. It's a windy day today. And I went over there specifically to look at it and it's moving.
Okay,
So, that thing is a big limb up there, at least the one I saw.
well, if they're that high, it's gonna have to be a tree cutter. It'll be a week from tomorrow.
Well, the bottom line, just want to make sure we get it sometime, because if we get any more
Yeah.
trees, so, okay.
And also, you may see some debris sitting. That's mainly because it costs between $300 and $900, depending on who's hauling the debris out. And FEMA has been coming in a little bit at a time, but they're coming in every day. And so we're kind of waiting for them to take as much as they can. The last understanding I have, they're going to be down here through the end of December. So I guess it's December 31st, unless they get extended. We'll see what's left, and then we'll have to just make a decision of what we're to haul.
Sounds good.
That'll work out, I hope.
Yeah.
All right, we already covered the minutes, so. Let's get on, staff report, Jeff.
I have both September's and October's, the front of 308, we put in 3 hibiscus at no charge. The front of 551, 1 hibiscus at no charge. Your ending balance, for September was 809.98, rainfall 8.2 inches. There are no plantings in October. Your balance is the same. Your rainfall total was 17.0 inches.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. Any questions for Jeff? Okay, thanks.
The one question, I'm sorry, Pete.
Yep.
Do we have a plan for tree replacement? I know we're a little premature on that, but is there a plan that we're going to at least pick a tree that we're going to use, or even the placement of them?
I think what we're doing here is to make sure everything's cleared
Okay,
and then look at the spaces. Because I think certain species might work well within some spaces and not the other. And as suggested, we're propping up the banyans and they should have some show growth soon. But we might want to, instead of palm tree in an area, you might want a shady lady, or depending on what you're going. And I think that's a discussion for this committee. Yes.
On 51st Street, coming back from Manatee, there is a banyan tree that I don't know if it was damaged in a prior storm or if they just topped it. But, it's cut at about 15 feet up, 12 feet, and it's got, it looks like the chia plant. It's already growing new stuff. I saw that the other day and I wish I'd stopped to take a picture of it, but it's pretty cool to see that actually working.
Well, to put it under the proactive column, that's one of the suggestions that John Brown and I were talking about during part of this cleanup. If we did some topping of our banyans free as a proactive issue, a lot of this mass wouldn't happen. They may not be getting blown over. So it's maybe something we want to look at in the near future of the ones we still have. Shannon.
Do you think that banyan back in Panhurst could be raised?
Well, we're gonna try.
We're
gonna try.
Gigantic thing.
Yeah, we're gonna try.
It's still alive, it's still green.
It's all green leaves.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's some roots still attached at the base, but Dennis Lee, one of our owners here, had his picture taken at the back of the base, and the base that's torn up is well, way above his head, about 20 feet. Yeah. Yes.
What's the difference in cost between trying to raise the banyan and removing it?
Well, there's going to be 3 days minimum of trimming it. And if we took it all out, who knows with root systems? Well, the root system's not that big, but the hauling and everything else might add 1.5 times the price.
How do you cut up that trunk?
Well, it'd be working forever. It'd be working. I bet it would take 6 days if you cut that trunk up,
Yeah,
So
pick it up in one piece with a
Why,
crane.
you don't want to see that back there, is what you're saying? You don't want to see that,
No, I'm waiting for it just to become like a big statue out there.
well, that's what's gonna happen and then start growing once it gets re-put, if we can do it.
I think I read that it should be kept watered, though, if you set them up. And we haven't had any natural rain,
Well,
so
true. Well, the irrigation system's on.
it.
Well, I know when they propped up our magnolia, that some guy's been coming around with a little cart and giving it some water.
Yeah, we're trying to, yeah. But, banging, right, Jeff, everything, as you see, we still haven't not had the irrigation turned on all the way back. But Pinehurst, Sherwood, Springdale are getting very green and everything's working there.
We have 20 of 25 irrigation clocks up and running.
Wow.
In anticipation of one,
Another one today and possibly, the two behind 279 tomorrow.
okay. So we're working as fast as we have, and some of those are off due to the fact that there's broken lines.
Have broken pipes and under trees and around trees and over to the mats.
And we know all Pool 6 itself, now it's not part of us, but Pool 6 itself was totally out for 4 days because the tree took out the power to it and we had to run all new lines to Pool 6.
The banyan tree between 313 Springdale and Sherwood, has that been
Yeah.
watered?
Yeah, that's been cut and dropped up.
Right, so.
It's not getting water right now because you have 4 broken pipes back there and I don't know what's feeding what and where is it going and just like the one, the 5-way down by Pool 7.
Right.
I was never looking at it yesterday. He turned it on. We have irrigation running there, but we'll have broken pipes. And then across in your cluster, Mr. West, where that one went down, there's actually an 1.25 inch pipe underneath the tree that's not connected to it. We gotta cut everything away from the tree itself to get to the pipes underneath the tree, try to connect it, find out what's going on there.
There's 2 pipes under that one.
Yeah, I fixed the one was the main pipe. That's been fixed.
That's the
white
purple
pipe-
one.
Yeah, the purple one's your main line. The white one hasn't been fixed yet.
Makes you realize how lucky we are to maintain our own water supply so we can flush toilets and stuff.
So true, so true.
Jeff, at the bottom of both September and October, you have a number of 5,624 and 98 cents minus 4,815 pre-estimate. What does that
That
mean?
was from.
Art arborist, that's the art arborist bills for the treatment of the
The
canaries
canaries,
Yeah.
right?
and the work on the Chevalier and,
Okay,
Yeah, mine is just an estimate. If I just go by the plans we buy, I don't do, like for John, I don't do
Right.
like any outside stuff.
okay.
I
I
think
just wondered.
one of the things we talked about was there was getting low on the balance, but then you had that on the money and you did make the motion to take
Right,
away from that for the treatment of the trees.
thank you.
Mhm.
Just 1 second, just getting back to the banyans. Let's hope this deal of propping them up and setting them in and taking care of them works, because that's certainly the least expensive way to go. So if they take, we're really ahead of the game in that respect.
They're
Uh,
anticipating the work, see, so
yeah.
we should,
Let's hope so. Okay, what do we have for owner's requests?
number one request is that there's a walkway to the pool from 369 to the pool. And it's, oh, I apologize, that shouldn't be.
Well, that might be me. It sounds like me too. Made me sit there, oh shit, shouldn't it?
That's all you know, it's me. So, excuse me, I'll get it turned off.
Is that the last lane goal?
Pool 4 is a lap.
Anyway, the walkway between the buildings, there's stepstones, but they're kind of been turned and twisted and they're singles. And there's a gentleman in 369 that to use a walker to get back there. And there's a request to kind of update that walkway, if you understand what I'm saying, Jeff. And I know you're working on the 200, but this would be just patio stones to help him get through there, either with
Is
wheelchair
that
and his
that
walker.
narrow thing
Yeah.
between the building and the pool, the lap pool, there's not much space there?
No, it's not the lap pool, it's 369 going, yes, I mean, no.
Yes, no.
Yeah. Anyway, so yes, that's to answer your question. And so I just want to put it before the committee to say that we're gonna do some work there to enhance the area, so we can take care of it and put it on your work list, Jeff, okay? That's the only request I had.
So do I have a motion to accept that request?
So move.
Second?
Second,
Second,
Okay, the request is granted.
Any other requests here? Go ahead, got some.
At 313, behind, where the banyan tree keeled over, affected our, enclosed courtyard, there's also this horrible situation of, it's not a banyan tree, it's a two names to it, that is strangling a palm tree. A what? No, something like it. It's two words. Tiffany would know, for sure. You would too. But
Yeah, I looked at it, Leslie. It's a ficus, a Cuban laurel. So it is a banyan that's
Cuban
just
laurel.
starting to grow in that palm boot.
but it is strangling a beautiful palm tree. And I think it should go, not the palm tree. The palm tree was there first, I'm sure.
Well, let's look at it for you, okay?
Please.
We have a lot of those where we have flares growing in the boots.
yeah.
Those all
Yeah.
need to be moved too.
Hey, Roger, you had your hand up?
Yeah, the newsletter, when it came out, had a paragraph in there that said that the landscape committee would be open to suggestions and recommendations and help from owners to perhaps do some of the replanting where stuff was destroyed by the hurricane. I submitted a 3 or 4 page request on paper for the common area between the 151's south wall and 149's north wall, where the banyan and the oak and the palm and all that was down there and destroyed pretty much everything there. And I submitted it with pictures, requesting to put in some Florida natural, but they're not called natural, native Florida red cedar trees. In like 4 different places, and I had a map attached to it of suggested plantings.
Must be with your other request that you gave me because I never saw it.
Okay.
And I will get it to the committee right away.
Okay, I've got it on my phone. I
Okay.
put it on my phone just in case you wanted to see it.
Yeah, well,
Today.
you could pass it around, but yes, it should go to the committee because it sounds like very proactive.
Sounds quirky.
I'd love to get red cedars in. I love this idea, Roger.
And we managed to get a hold of some that are 3 feet tall right now. I included pictures.
Great. Look forward to seeing the report.
If I open this all up. And I open more than one thing at a time.
Roger, are you saying that you have a group in your residents that are willing to do the planning?
Me,
He's
Yes.
me,
You're it, huh?
I'm it.
All right.
I'm sure you'll find somebody to help you.
Yeah,
I think we
I'm
can round
sure I
up.
will too.
We can round up some help.
Okay. No, that's the man. That's not the one I want.
It's voluntary.
And so here's a picture. And the picture of the street right now in pot. I currently have 2 of those and I can get more. We've bought 2. I'm willing to buy 2 more to put out in that area. And then my request also had in there that when you get to replanting, perhaps that the biscuit hedgerow that was along the wall, which is now all gone,
Oh, yeah.
would be replaced.
Yeah.
Oh,
We get,
pretty.
they look at some things, they grow up and kids.
Yeah, I think we'd be willing to do it.
Okay,
Since the
good.
tree they grow, as long as I can reach.
Yeah.
Jeff, if we're gonna do something like that and residents are gonna plant something out there, you guys come by and can you come by and mark, like if you know where irrigation lines are or so?
We did, we actually had to redo the irrigation behind it.
Yeah, well, irrigation hadn't been done.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's enough sprinklers in there now, to keep that watered, but just that one on the corner of the house. But
And then
I-
one further out, and one
Yeah.
against around the road, maybe the wall, and then there's
Yeah.
further down, and
Yeah. So there's some there that should keep it wet enough. The one there where all those elephant ears were,
yeah.
that big one seems to soak quite a bit of the ground there. So again, I was just trying to be proactive. In that request, John, also was a picture of a palm tree that I had a thought you can have, but I can't move it. So you guys would have to come and get it, put it wherever you want it.
I'm sure we could do that. And I'll see where that report is.
Right. I can return it and bring it over.
Well, let me look here. Maybe Mary has it.
But Jeff, what I'm
Yeah,
talking about is
they will grow out.
people are gonna be digging holes for a tree or a plant or whatever. Dig it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Putting in the coax and, that most of that stuff is just
Everybody see it?
buried inches under the surface. It'd be easy to damage it.
Well, I looked up red cedar trees and there's several varieties. It looks like possibly the one he has is, like a more columnar one, so it'd be good for a narrow area. But there are varieties that so, before we just say, oh, yes, plant, thousands of red cedars, let's make sure we have the right shape for the right area.
I totally agree. I think that one of the things we want to be careful about, and that is we want to do kind of an assessment after we clear as much as possible and take a look at different areas in the community that either need a couple of trees or ground cover or shrubs or whatever. And I think we have to sort of it's certainly nice for somebody like Roger and that area wants to do that, but I think we want to be very careful about keeping some continuity in what we've done in the past. And one of the people that I would recommend that we might call in for some advice, Tiffany may agree with me.
I
The
do.
arborist, Tammy, who we have talked to about doing a butterfly garden, would be, I think, a good person to come in and take a look at some of the areas that have been most impacted and giving us some advice as to what would be the best plants to go in those areas and what trees might be the best trees. How does that sound, Tiffany?
I love it, Chris. I definitely agree. I think it'd be great to put together a plan, and I'm game for throwing my efforts behind that after the holiday or whatever's convenient for the committee.
Well, you met Susan, you met Tammy, you were out there as well, and do you think that's a good idea?
Yes, I think, giving some advice and giving some, you're saying continuity, but I think I'm also using the word variety
Yeah.
because we have a lot of the same things that the builder put in originally that were probably just cheap, soft growing trees.
Yeah.
And carrotwood
Yes.
might be the word I'm
Yes.
thinking of. So we want to make sure we don't plant anything that's comparable to carrotwood.
Right.
Plant the good stuff. But meanwhile, back to his question, if he's got some potted plants that aren't going to thrive in the pot, he wants to stick them in the ground.
I think the one thing that I'm seeing here is what I want to see. I think the builders, they threw things out there, and I don't want to do that here. We got an empty space where a tree was, and let's think ahead. A butterfly garden, my God, that's beautiful. I mean, how could we ask for anything more? Some more color in some of our foliage, and getting rid of some of the things that are crawling up our trees and pairing them with the invasive plants. And
Well, I don't
putting
think we
something-
planted those. I think
I know
that
we
the
did,
birds.
but that's the point is it's not a case that I want to change, rip everything down. I mean, we want to let nature take its course, but we also want to be planning ahead rather than just filling a space. And
It seems like a good opportunity. We almost have a clean slate. I think clean slate is. a good start.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And I think it's a great idea too, having heard some of her ideas, along with the fact that after the first year, we do have the budget, and secondarily, it's not exactly planting time, but it's good planning time, because more or less everything should be clear. Certainly, I would hope by the end of beginning of January or so. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's very
One
good.
of the things that is, that the native plant people will tell you, and that is that once those plants get established, they usually don't need anywhere near as much water. They're from Florida. They're Florida plants, and so that's one of the things that I think we should keep in consideration, that some of these plants we may not need to have a lot of sprinklers or water once they get established.
That's two prongs, because if the existing sprinklers watering the grass, that tree's gonna get watered regardless if it wants it or not.
Or maybe there'll be some modifications once certain plants get in, because some plants can get overwatered and some plants can get underwater. So, it's like what bougainvillea is so beautiful, don't like much water at all, right? Yeah.
People that raise these, said they water them once a week.
Also, I think as you drive around now, it's amazing how the bougainvillea are coming out. They're just, they're beautiful this time of year.
The hibiscus are doing well right now.
There was one more request in the back. It's about
Yes, right now, Pinehurst A and B have no access to pool two. Because even the service road has a
right.
tree.
We understand that.
Okay, I'm just wondering when Brown starts their project after Thanksgiving Day. Will they start with Pinehurst?
Yes, I thought I reported that, but yes, I toured the property with John Brown. Today, Tuesday, one day this week, and we went over specific areas, specific places, and he's starting right away in Pinehurst first, because that's the most blockage.
The smaller trees that are blocking.
Well, it's in the back of A. There's two big trees down, and of course the banyan itself is gonna get a retirement fund for John to start with.
But we also have a lot of people that are coming to try to get to the pool, and they find they can't get there.
Well, that's true. We understand that.
I'm sorry, no, go ahead.
I was here last month and I was complaining about my space between the banyan trees and Wildwood Boulevard. Milton came along and took care of that, because now I've got big holes. But I'm grateful that the banyan tree was uprighted, because that's my privacy, and I'm concerned about privacy and shade. And something fast growing. Has anybody ever considered bamboo?
Very fast growing.
It's also very aggressive. It's
Aren't there
invasive.
varieties that can be contained?
Yucca palms have worked for us in 3 or 4 areas, especially here again behind A cluster. There was the opening toward the shopping center and opening toward the field and the areas where the homeless were, and we put a row there, and they're up now about what, 8 feet? Yeah, and just a common wall, so that would probably work in that area. It has quit growing very,
And that was just a few years ago.
yeah, and we did that
Pool 6.
at Pool 6. If you go by the little bridge there's a whole wall we put in there, same thing. So that may be some of the things we want to put where it's feasible.
Be on the list.
Okay,
Those are great, John. They grow fast and they're very low maintenance, and they make a great privacy.
and they're fairly reasonable. You buy one, you can split it, what, three ways.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I
So
love
that-
those. Yeah. yeah.
The other part of it, yes.
John, also, at one time we put a memorial for Isabel O'Connor, behind the condo she lived in. And when the banyan is going to be restored back there, is there any way we can preserve that row of cat palms that Jeff had installed?
Oh, they're still there, aren't they?
Yeah, but I'm thinking about when the tree, the trucks and
It
the.
won't impact it. We'll get it back up and they'll be there.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that serves as a buffer for 43rd,
Oh,
for everybody along that way.
yes.
Yeah,
There's a bench.
yes, there is, right over there. I've been meaning to pick it up. I've been meaning to tell the boys to pick it up.
Point is, there's one that one of my, neighbors talked about that's not too. It's dangerous now, because it looks like it's rusted out on the bottom. It's up at the top of the promenade, where the cameras are up there at,
Okay,
between 5 and 6 or something.
there's two, yeah, got a broken bench there and a smashed bench right at the corner here of Oak and Wildwood Spring Boulevard.
Well, the one that I'm looking at doesn't look like it's bad until you sit on it.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Solutions. Yeah.
That was all aluminum, Jeff.
I'm surprised that it looks like
That's on the list too.
it's faster than anything.
We checked because we thought they were aluminum. We'll check it out.
Anyway, I was very surprised.
No, that's a good point, but there is a bench that was put in for, who was it here in the corner?
Mrs. Calvert.
Mrs. Calvert,
Oh,
Right.
that bench is demolished and the guy's gotta pick it up.
And you're allowed to rebuild that one.
John,
Okay.
while we're talking about trees, Tiffany found a report that was done by the University of Florida 20 years ago or longer. It was after Andrew hit. And what they did was they went in and they looked at the trees. If you remember Andrew, Cat 5 that hit southern Florida, very devastating. Probably the worst hurricane ever hit Florida. But they did a study of the trees that survived and what species survived and ones that didn't. And it's an interesting read. It's about 7 pages long. I've got a copy of it and we can share it with the rest of the committee. Tiffany, if you still got it electronically. you there?
Yes, I do, and I apologize. I was going to print out a bunch of them and send them in to hand out, but forgot to do it before I left. So I'll circulate it digitally. And if anyone needs printouts, I can bring them to the next committee meeting.
Okay.
That'd be a good idea. Yeah.
It's a really good read. Some of the trees that did not survive well, and we've experienced that here. The other thing is some of the trees that we're planting now, I'm concerned about. I love the Shady Ladies, but they did not do well in this last storm. All the ones in our cluster are now leaning. We had one lean from Ian 2 years ago, and now the rest of them, they're not pushed over, but they have such a heavy canopy that the wind, and as they get bigger, I don't know, some of you might be familiar with I'm trying to remember the name of them. It's a tree that we have in Kentucky a lot. But it's the same sort of thing. It's a really dense canopy, and then they do well until they get big. And then we don't have storms in Kentucky like you have here, except that occasional tornado. But I'm concerned about these Shady Ladies as they get bigger. They get up to that 30, 40 feet range, and that dense canopy, they're going to suffer in a storm.
When I lived in Glen Lake, so 3 blocks away, they have a bunch of oak trees, but most of the people there, they have their oak trees given a hurricane cut, so it's not chopped. It's thinned out so that the wind can go through the trees rather than catching that dense canopy and making the tree, fall on their house. So, yes, going forward, planting trees that aren't as thick as Shady Ladies, but our current Shady Ladies, we might be able to just thin them out versus,
I think that might be a good idea. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think we have to try to save anything that's blown over. Now, we did lose a couple for sure in the alleyways where the water come down. But it's interesting you bring that up, Gus, because Maybe it's just because they're so young and the base because as well, anyway, part of my history was in Miami around Andrew.
Mhm.
And at that time I was a councilman and we lost palm trees.
Oh, yeah.
We lost palm trees everywhere, and the city of North Miami actually put in 4,000 shady ladies. If you to go see them now, it's like up north with the elms and everything. It's really beautiful in the area, and they all withstood everything since. So it maybe just how it's hit. Maybe it's too young.
It could be.
Facing
It
up
could be.
there, but it's just something that.
Got those two shady ladies around the corner of your cluster there, they're,
Next to Diane.
Yeah.
yeah, Diane, right there.
But the big ones on the 700s on the outside, that's the
Mhm.
first ones we put in, by Skip's place.
Yes.
Yep.
No.
They weren't negatively affected.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they were.
Are they leaning over?
One of them was leaning over pretty badly
Really?
after Ian,
Mm.
and it's still leaning. I mean, we didn't do anything to try to.
Okay, well, we'll look at it. Okay.
And now the ones that have been planted more into the back by the walkway where you go back to the pool, those are all leaning.
The new ones the new ones absolutely suffered everywhere. When I say new ones, 2 years old.
Yeah, I don't know how old those are. They're older than that because they've been there, what, 4 or 5 years?
Maybe.
Yeah, they were put in about the time we moved here. So
Okay, well, it's a good, I mean, you're all make good points. So why do we want to put something in that's gonna,
yeah, I mean,
Plus an issue.
I think it's something that needs to be discussed and looked at and studied.
Yeah.
Can they be pulled upright without causing an issue?
oh, I think we can't all of them, but
Little young ones.
there's 6 or 8 that I think we can straighten up. At least.
Actually, the study that Florida did after Andrew, the oaks did the best.
But yeah, well, what is the live oak doesn't grow at all, but it's thin.
Oh, all right. Any other owners' requests or concerns?
I don't know if to bring this up at the request or concern, but, and I'm just asking this question, I'm gonna go. Do you think we need mulch this year? I mean, we're looking at a mess. I just noticed it the other day when I was cleaning up the front yard. And all the junk left over from the hurricane, there's a lot of mulch in there. And I'm thinking, do we need mulch this year, or could we put it off for a little time this year and save some money? I don't know, you tell me, but that's the question that my neighbors are asking too. Are we gonna throw it all away before it's of any use to us?
I think that's up to the committee, but I don't think we would necessarily save money. But we certainly could divert money to do other positive things if you don't do what I mean within your purview of the committee itself, if you decide.
The main reason for being here, that's the question was asked
Sure.
of me. And
That's your third main reason for being here.
I like that.
We could take a look after we're through with the cleanup, we could take a look at the mulch and see what we think,
Maybe just,
We don't need to buy as much mulch, but what depends on what they mulched. Because if it's a softwood, it's going to attract insects. You don't want that mulch against the building. So, but if you want to put it in a planting bed or something like that, it's might be.
I'd go half as much in the area, like around the pools and the
Yeah,
entrance flower boxes and things like that.
yeah,
yeah, if it's mulch with an oak tree, fine, put it up against the building, because that's a hardwood.
Yeah, we could,
We did the front of the buildings this last year.
Front and common areas as much as
Yeah.
it went. Yeah.
Okay.
Theoretically, we were gonna do the rear, but it always seems to be more required in the front. It's more where the plant beds are.
we can take a look at that after we do the
Money in
cleanup.
budget for hurricane cleanup, but I don't think we have as much money in the budget for hurricane cleanup as what this hurricane is going to cost us. Cause that money was based on a previous hurricane that was bad, but we haven't had a hurricane this bad.
Well,
So
yeah,
do
let
we
me
have
give you
any
an idea.
idea what this is?
Yes, I do. We have an immediate history along with the fact that Marv and Barbara, Marv Howard and on the board, and Barbara Treasurer and I had a meeting the other day to forecast additional caches, amount of monies we might need to finish up what we're doing. So far, right now, we spent on roof repairs about $4,800.
That can come out of reserves.
So, well, that's exactly where it came from, and I'm still anticipating one more bill for 149, which is the big one. So I will look, we're gonna look at about $8,000 worth of damage there. Secondarily, the cleanup and debris removal for the fronts. Never mind the 3 days of overtime for the guys. I'm gonna calculate it all one time, make a report. But $150,000 has been spent on the tree trimming, hauling, and what have you so far. The estimate that I've received now is we could have $30,000 to $40,000 worth of additional in the month. So far, the monies, we had $20,000 in tree replacement and $30,000 in storm damage in reserves. So 50,000 of the 150 came from reserves and it's been paid. The 100,000, we received the bonus from the Spectrum signing contract of 125,000. And so the 100,000 came from there. So we've paid the 100,000 and it hasn't necessarily impacted anything on the operating side. Okay, the next 50, well, we still have 25,000 from the Spectrum contract, and we did have a considerable overage in the insurance budget versus actual. So there doesn't anticipate to be any type of concern about an assessment or anything like that for cleanup. It should all be handled with funds available.
Well, yay for Spectrum.
Yeah.
How much did you say for the rest of the cleanup? You're estimating it's gonna be?
Another 50, between 30 and 45, maybe.
What about the electric?
I haven't seen the electric bill, but well, that will go under building reserve. I mean, so I think the question was, how are we doing on operating costs?
Well, yeah, because I'm sitting there going, you know, I think, well, there's 100,000 for cleanup and this looks like 200,000. So,
Well,
you know, where's that extra
the end-
100,000?
yeah.
You know, 'cause they said, oh, everyone worked so hard on this budget and they're voting on it. And it's kind of like, oh, we worked on that budget before there was
It looks like that the expense, the last big one we had was Armor, I think, and everything ended up about $101,000. This one will double that very easily, very easally.
yes.
You're not even, I mean, I know you're turning it into the insurance, but you've got the
We haven't even talked about the carports and the fences yet.
gutters.
And gutters we're starting to work on now. We replaced Jim's already started the small stuff and he straightened up some of the big ones, just to give you an overview. And the carports, I got an initial report that the insurance company is stating they feel we have about $45,000 worth of damage to our carports. Then they take off quote unquote depreciation, which is nice. So they're right now, from what I'm gathering, they want to offer us about $35,000. And the building committee met yesterday, and they're going to propose to the board that we remove all ceilings. Therefore, there should be no future issues that way. It's been done in other places without any dramatic impact, and I think our resident architect said that we shouldn't, taking the ceiling out will not necessarily cause any uplift conditions.
Right.
So we're up to speed there. So we are getting some money.
Above my car where there is no ceiling in it. Looks fine to me.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
I don't think it makes a big difference. No.
Spring Lakes took all theirs out.
I just thought there might be a few more birds' nests or something up there.
Well, it will happen. As I was saying yesterday, the building committee, I managed across the street to the golf course over there. I don't remember the name of the town, but Pinewood. And they have big parking garages, and they had tremendous bird and everything else. And they have about 2,000 CDs hanging down that reflect. and birds stay away. So you want your old CDs that nobody uses anymore. Birds hate to see those.
I was looking at our carport and where some of the ceilings out, and I can see there is some diagonal bridging between the joists. And that would be a place where birds could nest. I don't think there's anything else up in there. I mean, they need a ledge. There might be some ledges at the block walls. I can't see that now.
Yeah,
And those might be things over time, even the bridging, the blocking that's in between the joists, we can box that in.
I'll put some hardware cloth or I don't know how that would look. I mean, we'll have to look at it, but it's going to have to be dealt with. But to keep the panels the way they are and the way they're constructed, there's no way that it's hurting the owner's cars. It's
agree.
causing potential problems for everybody. Here again, I'll bring up something I brought up yesterday. I contacted Mullet Aluminum, and they are one of the largest builders of carports and things of that nature. And he gave me a specification. He took pictures of our carports from above and said that we are obviously not in code in any which way. Of course, we were in code at building at that time, but they wouldn't even want to come out and do any repair work because they only work on coded buildings. But he said they could come in, tear everything out, leave the walls, the concrete walls, and they would put in the new support posts that is, I guess, to double the size or the strength, and the new roof and everything like that for the small price of $7,000 a carport space. Space.
It costs originally.
Yeah, I think it costs that. Yeah. So that shows you what the upgrade would be, and if anybody wins the lotto, it can help us out.
Those aluminum things, can we sell off the aluminum and help pay for something else?
Might be able to do that. I mean, we'll get Alfredo, who's whenever we pick up anything with metal, he tears it down, and he could probably be a good asset for us to find out what it's worth, because we sure got a lot of panels.
Right now, they're only taking aluminum, they're not taking metal.
Not.
Aren't those carport roofs aluminum or are they metal?
No, they're aluminum.
Okay.
He was telling me the other day, he said because he still has all that stuff out there, he said, yeah, I said, they're not taking metal yet, they're simply taking aluminum.
Oh,
Oh,
They
cause they
won't
got
be
so
taking metal
much.
for a couple of weeks.
okay.
It's an asset.
Yeah, I mean, if we bring some money in to help, because it's going to be a cost to take them out. There's no doubt about that.
Hard, it seems like they're just stapled up there, cause there's
They
a
are.
whole bunch of staples on the ground.
Any repairs we've made have been with screws, but that's limited compared to the massive everything there.
Hardest part of that job is going to be getting the cars out of the way.
Part of it.
Started
Yeah.
All right, we've covered the issues on Hurricane Milton. How are we doing on 141, John?
141, the contractor will schedule it soon. They had other plans ahead of us to do the work. Now, of course, there's some emergency work they're doing because of the storm, and he promises to give us a priority soon, whatever that means.
Okay, that'll work, yep. Any,
And of course, that again is to take the wall down so we can ground the roots and then rebuild it.
okay, correct, good. Any other comments, committee comments?
I have some.
Okay,
We all got an email from Patty Jung about an oak tree out front of her unit. Has anyone had a chance to take a look at that?
Not out,
Janet?
it's not out in front of that unit. It's out by Applebee's unit. And you can see progressively the ground. The tree is tipping, and may threaten Applebee's unit there. But it's quite clear that it's just a matter of time before that tree tips over.
And is it supportable or is it has to come out, Shannon?
I would just judge the weight to be hard to recover.
Okay, well, when Brown's here, we'll have to look at it.
Okay,
Too big for us.
Are we still liable for those trees over behind the shopping center, the massage parlor, and so on?
Still our property.
So the trees are down, it's just a matter of getting them out.
No priority at all. I mean, they've been down for the last 3 hurricanes.
It looks like somebody has come in there and sheared off the top.
Now, they were going to, but they didn't.
They didn't, that was the.
I would have thought they would have. We gave them the right to do it,
Yeah.
but they didn't do it. Any shearing is done by the storms. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Oh, no, that's great. I'm glad you'll look at that oak because I did take a look at it and it looks very dangerous. But the only other thing I'll mention is that just a friendly reminder to keep on the tractor and trailer pricing. I would love to get that going for our guys.
We have prices for new that range from about 9,000 to 14,000, depending upon which amenities you want to have on it. Both John Deere and Kubota are very similar in pricing. I've been asked to try to find maybe used tractors, and that's where the problem's coming up. They're very few and far between. The current tractor we have now, actually, as Jeff reminds me, was bought like in 2003 and it was used. So we've had a tremendous good fortune with the used equipment. And so we're looking for a used piece of equipment, and I'll bring pricing to you at the next meeting because as you know, the current tractor has a tendency to want to jump and move, and it could get dangerous.
Yeah. If it's too difficult to find the used pricing, I'd be happy to make a motion to recommend to the board that we purchase the new Kubota.
Well, we do have the money in the operating, no question about that.
we do, John?
Yes, we do. I mean,
All
in
right.
the reserves, I misspoke. We have the
Okay.
money in reserves. Now, Chester, who uses it mostly, prefers a air conditioned cabin, but that goes up to 24,000. Yeah.
Get him an umbrella.
Might as well, right?
Landscape, I want an air conditioner.
Would it make sense to go ahead and buy one, keep the other one here for a while to help with the cleanup? Would that speed up?
We'd have to get another trailer.
Well, I mean,
I
I
mean,
thought we were gonna buy a trailer too.
the trailer that's
Yeah.
out there has been plated so many times that it cannot be plated anymore. In other words, you've had to
Yeah.
come in and put a plate on, weld it, it's been done that five times. I think, so it's done being plated. The only thing you could possibly use the tractor that we have now for, once you purchase the new one, is to put the grader on that we have to help grade the back and push the pile up. So we're not calling Steve in here every couple of weeks to pick up the pile, just to get it like more compacted and up higher.
Sure.
You mean the debris back there?
Yeah, the grade, yeah.
I'm just thinking in terms of if you had, and I thought we were gonna buy a new trailer with the tractor.
Well, that's the thought, yes.
Okay, so you would have 2 trailers, 2 tractors. Would that help speed up cleanup?
We still have 3 men doing it,
Yeah, not really.
Okay.
or 4 men, really. That's the limitation right now. And matter of fact, Eddie, the last time Eddie, for Helene, Eddie actually brought in a couple of his neighbors to help. And they're not available right now, otherwise we'd be doing it.
Can you get general laborers down here? Can you hire, is there like a labor service or,
Now, the problem down here is that, I can remember in Miami back in the day, you went to a certain street corner and there were, 20 people there and they'd be happy to work for you. And many
Not
other
anymore.
did the same thing, not anymore. Now they have these hiring agencies. And my God, I mean, I talked to them about maybe a secretary. Yes, sir, $32 an hour, we can get you a secretary. Yes, you want a carpenter, $41. They're all making unbelievable profits on it.
I was at Home Depot last week and I saw a bunch of people, and it looked like they were workers waiting to be.
Really?
To be picked up, yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, that's good. This Home Depot right here?
There for building and drywall and stuff like that.
I'm not from, well, I don't know.
No, 'cause yeah, I go to Home Depot maybe twice a week. Yeah, that's what they're there for. They're just there to help contractors come in and do either drywall or tiling or roofing or whatever it is. But, you know, because some people have said the sign that they can't be on the property soliciting. That's why they're over by, the restaurant.
Yeah.
It sounds fine to me, because we have fences and stuff that need repair. I mean, if they're not landscape people, they,
Well, no, we're right, and we're starting that. We've hired Jeff's son, who's a carpenter, to start doing the fences. The problem is that we've got all kinds of slats. They've back ordered posts. And so we're waiting for posts.
I left Kelsey a message yesterday again. I'm still waiting on material
So we have material to start on, and he's starting what you said
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah, I talked to him late last night. He finished up. He does work for my homes. He goes in and does warranty works and stuff like that. So he's trying to finish up stuff for them. He said, I'll be there for sure Friday, but my schedule, I'll be there Friday.
All right. It's all
right,
coming together.
Any other owner comments or committee comments?
I got a couple.
Okay,
The grove that's behind our unit, out behind me, there's still several. And the guys have been over there and cleaned up. Jean, who's one of the residents in Oakview, she's been out there cleaning up. She's done a really good job. She's gotten all the invasive vines and stuff out of it again, except there's a bunch of trees down in there. And you said they were finished out there.
Well, we're finished with the main walkways. We're not finished with that grove at all, but they're finished. I mean, you saw what it was like.
Oh, yeah, I know.
I mean, before it's up, but I mean, yeah, that grove will be getting eventually.
Okay.
But I've got notes on that. The trees, the brown leaves, and everything else was down. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Going back on our banians, the ones that still need to be stood up properly. The one there by our corner, the big one, it did not seat back in very well. There's a possibility we could bring the one arborist in to do that, Tyler, because I know he gave Tiffany a price to come in and do all of them. He's done a bunch of this kind of work.
Oh, I don't see why not. If you want to use them, I mean, you got Brown on the property, you could do it too, but that's whatever. I don't know what his pricing is. I never saw any pricing for standing the banians up.
Tiffany, do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was only $3,500 to cut and stand up all of the banians. But I sent it in an email, so we could check my email just to be sure that I got that number right.
that's for all of them, Tiffany?
Yeah, that was total for all of them. But we could quote with them for specific work, or have John quote it with Brown, since he's going to be on next week.
Sure.
Whatever the committee thinks is good.
Well, he hasn't charged us for any of the standing up. Brown hasn't charged us for any of that yet. But if we have to go back and do some seating, yeah, maybe there is some pricing. I don't know. Maybe they have to. I was thinking that the one on the corner, that maybe we could even go in and do some trimming of the base to get it seated better, because there's some of the hard roots are standing out, stopping it. I think if we do some work, we might be able to do that in
that
house.
looks dangerous though.
Yeah.
Like if you get underneath there and start trimming that root and that tree were to fall, you've now just buried a person.
Okay. Who volunteered?
I'm not volunteering for that.
Well, and I wouldn't. Some of them have stepped back up okay.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that one at the corner,
It's bad.
yeah, that one really needs it. And I don't know what Tyler would charge to do that. Probably, and he probably needs to bring in a piece of equipment, something that he can push that back up a little bit, safely get under there, trim it, and then let it sit back down. And then he also told us one of the things that needs to be done is once they seat back in, you need to get some dirt up around them to make sure all those roots are covered, and then water the daylights out of it. So that tree's been going now since whatever, without any real water on it.
That's true.
Lots of mulch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd like to,
Okay.
if we can do that, and then he's been pretty quick to get in here and get stuff done too. So I beg Jeff and people to get our irrigation back on. We've got plants that are really suffering. We've got some purple or copper leaf out at the front. And that it's really kind of funny because there's a row and then there's a circle at the end of the row. That's around that circle's around one of the shady ladies. All that circles looks like it's dying. I mean, the leaves are wilted, they're hanging down, they're not copper anymore, they're not the red color. I think we're gonna lose those if we don't get some water on them soon.
Yeah, we we're supposed to have thunderstorms yesterday, and that didn't happen.
Well, we had rain.
Yeah, so
We did have about a quarter inch or so, but that's just not gonna do it. Now, our grass, if you haven't been down our way, please come down and take a look at our grass because it looks like
Oh, it's hay.
it's full of weeds. I mean, y'all came down sometime in the summer while I was gone and did a trench where the water stands at the entrance. Jeff, you know what I'm talking about? You did a trench down through there. Is there any plans to do anything else with that trench?
I have no idea.
What, I guess they were just hoping the grass would grow back. And what happened is we had the backhoe here to do the drainage work behind the 200s. And Jim just took the backhoe everywhere to all drains and just because the grass was growing and impeding some of the drainage, he just went in and cut more. And that's what the hope was, the grass would come back to there.
Well, the thing of it is, the only thing that's growing in there now is a bunch of weeds.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be able to maintain it, cut it, clean it.
Well, what do you suggest we do?
I don't know. I mean, does it make sense on something like that to do a concrete flume? Just to get that water away from, we
Would
have,
carry it away quicker, no question about that. It's something we could look at.
I don't know what we've done elsewhere. I haven't seen anything like that except,
Daylilies are considered ditch lilies in Iowa. I just who's taking
no.
daylilies down there?
Well, we're up to suggestion. I mean, the better we make it look, the better it is for everybody. The ambiance is important.
Yeah.
You know,
well, it's right out front. So,
yeah, and so there.
and I don't know how well it's helping it drain because we really haven't had that kind of a rain.
It helps. It has helped. Yeah, actually, on the when I skip, there we go. And then he had it, and then on the other side, it was pretty good compared to what it was.
Yeah.
You don't agree, Jeff, with that? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on B, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Um,
righty,
hang on a second.
all right.
When the mouse does.
One last thing. Then I'll shut up. The sidewalk, pool 6. The guys came in, we fixed the electric. There's still a section of concrete that needs to be taken out.
Yeah.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah. Yeah, we certainly are. And that's gonna go back to that same contractor that is doing our wall. I'm trying to get him over here now.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make
So we're
sure
familiar with, oh, yeah.
you're aware that there's a.
And that's where the electric got taken out and everything else.
Yeah,
This is, yeah, this whole thing is just a matter of moving along and doing what we can do, irrigation, electrical, cleanup and everything. It's just, kind of a staggering proposition. Just, we'll try to take care of everything in a timely manner. Yep.
Where
Any
the,
other- Excuse me?
where the debris is been piled up on the grass along the way, are we gonna be able to salvage that grass, or is that gonna be another expense that we're gonna?
Well, we hope it'll grow back when we get to rainy season, Alan. I mean, it's all that stuff's gonna be ultimately removed, and yeah, obviously anything covered up is gonna have some impact to it,
Let's hope we can get it back. Yeah.
It's amazing what will grow once we get it cleared and once the rains come. You know what this is, subtropics. Weeds grow fast anyway.
Peter, I would just like to say that the maintenance people and particularly the landscape people really did an outstanding job over the last 4 weeks, ever since the hurricane. They've done really yeoman work, and we really need to appreciate their efforts, and I hope people remember them at holiday time.
I agree, Chris. I agree. I
Same.
mean, when you ever tell anybody you're talking to other people from other developments, tell them how big our crew is for the size of the property, they don't believe me. Yep.
Yep.
Wow. I have one more comment before we close up, if you're still taking them.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so I know that we already talked about the trying to find the price for the used tractor trailer. A thought popped into my head, and I'm not sure if it's gonna make a big difference or not, but I know that the incoming federal administration with Trump has proposed sort of like a widespread tariff on imported goods. And so I was just sitting here wondering if it would be very beneficial for us to purchase maybe a new Kubota before the end of the year, just to make sure that we can get those pre-tariff prices. Maybe save us some money, and if we purchase new and not spend time trying to look for the used one, then we'll get that many more years of life out of it. What does everyone think?
So what you're saying, before January 20th, we need a tractor, right?
Well, why not? If you could save money, why not? And,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
I'd vote for
Well,
it.
that's gonna be up to your recommendation to the board. I mean, if somebody wants to make a recommendation to the board now, for the, December meeting,
May I make the motion?
Do we have a quote we can use in the motion?
well, I mean, we'll have if she just makes a motion that she feels that now is the time to expend it, and then the board will get the final quotes anyway. You don't have to put a dollar amount in.
well, I think the sooner the better so that they can use it.
I think that's the gist of her motion. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Well,
Second the motion.
but we haven't heard it
Make sure you put.
by now, right?
Buy now.
By now.
yeah. I
Please,
make a motion to purchase a new Kubota tractor and trailer as soon as possible, now, before the end of the year. Whatever you think is good.
Okay. All right.
all right.
And
Do I have a
Chris,
second?
I second it.
Okay. This passed. So we would go before the board with that, John?
be on the agenda for the next meeting,
All right, good, great.
which
Thanks,
is December
everybody.
16th, I think.
Yeah.
Thank
Everything
you.
takes Longer than you think it should, you know?
Unfortunately,
So,
It's just-
let's see. How are you gonna, schedule the next month's meeting around Christmas time, John?
well, a lot of times you don't have one,
That's
or
what I,
you move it up, one
that's
year
what I
you moved
thought.
it up. The second week of the month, or you fast until January. That's up to your committee, up to your thoughts.
I think we could probably pass until January.
Well, we can't.
I'm
do
thinking
that.
there's a bunch of stuff going on, so it depends on if our
Yeah, a lot,
it's
yeah.
usable sitting here or just let
Yeah.
Jeff go do stuff.
We could do it, whatever your feeling is.
You have the second Thursday is the 12th, the third Thursday is the 19th,
12,
December.
12. There's too much going on not to have a meeting.
All right. So we'll
Yeah.
have the 12th. Or do you want 19th? Is it too close to Christmas?
19th, I'll be gone.
Okay.
Well, why are we
I
going,
would love the 12th.
Pardon?
are we gonna have it at our meeting on Monday? The 9th of December for our
Well, that's your,
board meeting?
That's your workshop.
that's the workshop. meeting.
Oh,
Workshops.
Oh, well, it's still, yeah, it'd still be the 16th, you're right.
Yeah. So,
I think
okay.
we gotta do it.
All right, if everybody wants the 12th, we'll square it away. What do you
So what
say?
is it, the 12th?
Yeah.
The 12th?
Yep.
All right,
That worked for me.
All right, one thing we didn't report on, just not to keep you all later, but lake drainage system run into a couple snafus. Seems like everything lately we do, but it turns out that the pipes are solid clogged. The contractor came out with the equipment. They thought they should do it, but it's so solidified that he has to come back with bigger equipment, which he'll be coming back the first week in December. But we found the main issue of the lake, why it's not draining, is because our employees excavated down to the pipe where that lake, we'll call it the sports court lake, was supposed to drain. And we found that the drainage pipe is now almost 5 inches below the lake bed. Over the years, over the 40 years or so, the lake bed is built up, and that the pipe that's supposed to drain it was 5 inches below the mud. And so we're devising a system to put in a pipe that's going to be higher to allow for the drainage. And then therefore, as they clean out the piping for about 500 yards, that it goes to the next lake, that issue should be resolved, which will also save us $1,200-1,300. We probably won't need a berm to be built around the sports court because we'll have proper drainage there.
Great,
Nice.
good.
Okay.
All right. So, anything else to clean up? All right, so we got the next meeting, December 12th. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second,
Okay, all right.
And for
Thanks,
everybody,
everybody.
I do have the notes now.
Good boy, John.